Hello everyone, welcome back to the Ranger channel. My name is Tai and I will be your host for today's tutorial. For our tutorial, we are using the 49 and Market Journal Essential Notebooks. This is a 3-pack, a new item available on the website, and it features bright, smooth, white cardstock at a very good weight. So we will be doing a mixed media journal page in this notebook. And remember, it is a 3-pack, so there are 2 more ready to go when I finish this one. The other collection that we are using is 49 and Market Echoes of Time. This one was newly released and it features chipboard elements, the Rub-ons, the Irresistible Rubon transfers that are a new product that I played with on my last video, and then I also have the laser die cuts. The collection features definitely colors of like purpley mauves. We got like the soft peachy pinks, and then we have like the dark gray that offsets it. It has almost a steampunk vibe to me. We have like the vintage clocks and like some piping and such. And so I think, and gears is also very prominent, and then like the damask is also really great. So these are going to be our like focal elements. So we'll do a nice inky background probably with this, and then add some sort of layered element. I've pulled a couple of the ink colors that I feel complement it as well. So we have the 49 Market ink dye in pink sands. I have them all kind of flopped out here. Fossil, salted caramel, cappuccino, and then lavender kisses is that good purple. I've pulled out a few ink blending tools. So we have a Simon Hurley one, and then the classic sponge ones from the Ranger Distress line. I have the spritzer water bottle ready to go. And then a few other things I know I probably will use is a stamp and a stencil. So I just picked out, this is Rose Borders from Simon Hurley, and then this one is called Bubbly from also the Simon Hurley line. I just felt like the flowers in this could complement it well, and we'll just kind of do a very dynamic, depth-filled background and get a piece of just plastic packaging you were about to discard. I feel like this will be an easy technique to use the inks and get a watercolor wash kind of feeling. I think in the community we just call it like the smooshing packaging technique, or smooshing. So in essence, we're going to put the ink directly on here, add some water, and then lay it down as randomly as it will give us. So that'll be our kind of simple technique, is just a good old-fashioned packaging, and then layer on all of our elements. I will leave everything linked down below for your easy shopping needs. And let's get started. My first step for my art journal page will be to add on my Irresistible Rubons from the collection. In my experience already, it is important to do this step first, as these Irresistibles do not go on well an inky background already done. It needs to be the first step, and that way it resists anything that you put on top of it. It is important when you are working with them to keep the release paper on the back side of these rub-ons while you are cutting them out and selecting the images that you want to use, and then releasing that back paper when you have decided on placement. This is important just because if that release paper is not on it, think of it like a sticker. It'll start getting tacky on other surfaces or on an area where you weren't prepared to have the element be. So just keep the release paper on the back side is my best tip for you. These also work well. The tool I am using is just it's by Sizzix Tim Holtz. It's a paper shaping tool. It just has 2 silver balls on the edge, on the end of the tool, in order to do paper, sculpting. But a popsicle stick, your bone folder could work for this. Even your handles of your scissors could work to varnish the elements into the page. Next step for me is adding on some of these rub-ons. I love the rub-ons too, because once again, they're like stickers without having a border. So they just melt right into your background, and I'm selecting a few that will just add interest to my background. There are so many nice elements on this, everything from the florals to this whole steampunk vibe I'm getting from it. But I love the contrast of that steampunk, because I say steampunk because you have like the rusty gears, right? The rusty nails and bolts. You have like sort of these elements of like rusted pipes too on these rub-ons, and then like old pocket watches too. So I love that contrast between the pastel roses and then these rusty gears and metal elements into the collection. So I'm just selecting a few more of these rub-ons that I am just putting at different places on my page. And so for this one too, it's kind of like a washi tape stitched little moment, and it just will add interest to that corner. Mostly because I know, as you can see where they're placed, like I just know I'm going to have like a focal element, so let me have more of that interest be toward the edges so that they can shine through. So let's start with the packaging technique, and as simple as it is, I don't know who first versed this technique, but taking some packaging, you saw me just smush on some of the ink from the ink pad itself, and then adding a spritz of water will just get the color moving on that packaging, and then you have an ability to manipulate it similar to watercolor. I'm just going in with the curve of the packaging and lifting it and just having it dab on certain areas, and you can have as much ink on the page, or I'm going on the side of less is more at the moment, and just swiping my heat gun over it just to increase that dry time. And I'm just loving the way it is being resisted off of that gear. You can see I'm just kind of showing you that beauty there as well. Now, could I add more? Absolutely. But what I'm also feeling right now is, let me go in with some of my stamping. So this was that Simon Hurley stamp of rose border, and I'm just adding it to like the bottom third of the page with the color cappuccino, and it just adds more elements of interest to see that rose yet again, since it's an element in the collection as well. And at this point, some creators would say, should I add any more or should I stop? And I'm usually on the leaning towards the side of add a little bit more. So here I am going in with the color Fossil with a Simon Hurley ink blending tool and a Simon Hurley stencil called Bubbly, and adding a few random sections where this will shine through. The Fossil color is a taupey gray color, so it adds a little bit more contrast to the background, and I'm just adding it in a couple more spots for added interest. There are also times where in the process where I would audition out like the focal elements that I will use, and I do audition out many, and there are some creators that can commit and move on with the process, and for me, I still always pause a moment before I start adding my glue, just because I could go in right before I start gluing and add more color to the background if I saw fit, or something else in an area where maybe I felt it was too much white space. So this is always that creative expression. So the laser elements that I selected were definitely going to be some of those florals. So we have those, going on with this little bouquet moment that I have. And then a little bit of a vine moment going vertically from that bouquet, just to kind of mirror those elements that I had with the rub-ons and the Irresistible. And I love that big bold butterfly. And I loved using one of the title pieces in the chipboard. There were plenty of words to choose from. I simply had just selected Dream, and I love adding a few more of these chipboard elements for extra texture. So we have a gear, we have selected a clock, and a few of those nuts and bolts scattered across the eye. And I definitely keeping in mind that visual triangle between the butterfly, then the bouquet, and then over to the word Dream. And I just feel like it was floating a little bit, so I'm going to go through the chipboard elements, and I select a little tiny word phrase that says a stitch in time in a taupey color, and it just felt like it anchored the word dream for that visual triangle. And using the Dina Wakley media glue, this has quickly become my favorite glue for adhering anything of heavier weight like these chipboard elements to my pages. It's always on my desk. I love it so much. And those elements will complete my art journal page. So we have a lot going on, and it came out so well. So we have, first layer was the Irresistible, so the kind of bright white images that you have peeking through. We did the rub-ons, so we have this going on. We have rub-ons down here that we applied. Then we did the inky background, so light and wonderful to highlight everything. We did some stamping, so we have that extra depth there. We did some stenciling. This tool was fantastic for that. It's just very light, and you can see where that bubbly stencil was used. And then we added all of the dimensional focal bits. So we have all of the things that were from the laser die cut pack. Remember, this is the collection Echoes in Time from 49 and Market. And then the chipboard elements for the title piece. So much going on. I hope you've enjoyed your time with me. And I was already still playing once again that I started doing this background for something. So similar steps. We just did the Irresistibles. We did an inky background. I've done texture paste on this one though.
and more stamping, and we'll see what I create with that next. So already so many possibilities. It's a good 6x8 size. I do like that I get 3 in this pack, and I will be working with these again. So for now, thank you so much for joining me. Please subscribe to the Ranger channel. Give this video a thumbs up. It always helps the channel grow. And until next time, everyone, bye.